Holy crap, we're live.
Ooh, we did it.
All right. Well, this is the first test, the inaugural. I can speak words, right? The first time.
Let's stick with first.
I'm gonna just go with first. We're gonna go with first. The first time trying to record for a new podcast called From Drinkin' Buddy. No, From Drinkin' to Thinkin' Buddies. I'm not even getting that right, am I?
No. Well, that's workshopping too. It was between the two from now I'm screwing it up too. From Drinkin' Buds to Thinkin' Buds. And then there's from Thinkin' Buddies to nope, I'm screwing it up too.
See, sometimes things like that happen, and that's what happens when you get two guys that are near in their 40s just hanging out doing a podcast together. For anybody out there listening who gives two craps about who this voice is talking right now, I am one of the hosts of this amazing, wonderful podcast that we can't even figure out the name to at this point. I'm Hogan, and my buddy over here is Mike. And we're just two college buddies that we went from drinking buddies to now we think. And sometimes I think we think too much, and I'm going down some kind of rabbit hole here that I don't even know if I can get myself out of. But Mike, what's the general consensus of like what are we thinking with this podcast? Because you and I off air literally just for like the last hour just spitballed a million different things, and we hit record now, and now I'm rambling, and take it away from me. What's happening?
No, well, I mean, rambling is good. I mean, we're both probably floundering a little bit, but the reason why I wanted to do this was that we literally were hardcore drinking buddies. We met in 2007?
Oh God, please don't date it.
Yeah,
don't date it.
Yeah, September of 2007. And I guess we really started hitting it off because we were known as the two heavier drinkers on the track team at that point in time. And I guess as time has kind of moved on and we've obviously lived in different states, we are trying to find, I guess, mediums or medias to connect and kind of stay in touch. So that's where it's kind of been more, I guess, almost more introspective rather than impulsive. So now we try to like think things out and have meaningful conversations as opposed to running around campus chugging 40s and MD 2020s and then just picking ourselves off the pavement the next morning and trying to muscle it to breakfast. So at least I know that I'm trying to just, I guess, reconnect with my friend and just enjoy myself and I don't know, maybe laugh, cry, have some thoughtful things and some ridiculous ideas come out. So
well, I can tell you right now, if we bust out the MD 2020s, there's going to be a whole lot of crying from this guy because I cannot fathom the fact that I used to pound those things back in the day. And I don't forgive you guys for my wedding giving me a gift of an MD 2020 that you forced me to drink before I actually had to get married. So shout out to my amazing, beautiful wife, Ashley. She's a champ for putting up with me on my wedding day. I mean, fun fact about that is like we were talking about how we went from like being the heavy set drinkers on campus for the track team and everything. And it was like, I haven't drank like that in so long. And my wedding was probably the last time that I actually got a little like, I got a little, but like not like blackout, thankfully, not like what I used to do in college. And it's just looking back on all the times that the dumb crap that I can speak for myself that I personally did. And I'm sure you have some stories as well too. Yeah. But just like you said, like there were a lot of good times and there were some like times where I'm just like, I should be 6 feet under right now. That's the way I look at it. Like, what the hell was I thinking? But no, you hit the nail on the head. And the fact is that we've known each other for as long as we have. And, I appreciate and love the crap out of you for everything you've done for me in my life with everything. And it's just, it's wild to think like the spectrum of where we came from to where we're at now, like you said, is just, it's absolutely wild. And I can't wait to dive into more stuff with this podcast to just be like, I have so many opinions and I don't know if anybody wants to hear them. I don't even know if you want to hear them, but like, I look at it as like, I'm just going to spitball about certain things at certain times where I'm just going to probably sound like a cuckoo crazy person, but like, I want to throw this stuff out there in the universe and see maybe you'll agree with it. Maybe you'll have a reason to like point me in the opposite direction too, because like, I just, I'm at that point now in my life where, like you said, it's you slow down, you start looking at things day to day, and to think of the ignorance we had in college, where it was just like, oh man, I can't wait to drink a 30 this weekend, to now it's like, oh, I gotta pay taxes and like I have to go to bed on time, and you're like, what the hell happened to me? But like that's just wild to me, dude. I mean, do you ever stop and think about things like that, where like where we came from to what we do now, just the vast difference in it?
Oh yeah, it's like such a big gap that sometimes I have a hard time even like connecting to that person. Like it almost feels like it's so distant and so long ago from who I am now that like I think I texted in my group chat from my buddies from home. I was like, "Do you guys remember certain things happening, or are these just like fever dreams that I'm trying to like?" I like it's a hard time for me to like remember. Like, did this actually happen, or am I just like imagining that this is happening? Like, and luckily, a bunch of them are like, "No, those events definitely did happen." I was like, "Okay, cool." Like, not losing my mind completely. Okay, great. But it's funny how before we were talking about trying to infuse like photos and stuff. When you said that for your wedding, you should try to see if you could pop in like two of the still frames of you with the MD 2020 and we're all holding your belly like you were pregnant. Those like it was your wedding photos were hands down the funniest, like most chill wedding pictures I've ever took. Like they were always like very structured and like this. And the guy was kind of like, you could do whatever you want. And we were like,
Man.
okay. Like we're gonna do some stuff and we're gonna just have like parodies of like all like the
Yeah,
corny
you
women's
including you
photos.
guys putting all like the flowers around my head, make me look like a flower girl or some like ridiculous thing. Yeah, no,
Yeah, they were good.
it was fun. That's the biggest thing is like we with when it comes to our wedding, that was like what Ashley and I wanted for everybody, was just to have it as fun as possible, and you guys made it like that. But no, like you said, it's wild to think back. Like I try and think back to the person that I was back in college, which again, you had to date it like almost 20 years ago we met. That's absolutely banana
Yeah.
lands to me. That's absolutely wild. But like I look back like even 10 years ago, compared to like who I am now to the person I was back then, heck, even like 5 years ago or a year ago now, because for those of you out there who are unaware of who I am just in general, I mean, granted, I'd love that our family and friends hopefully listen to this shenanigans, but like for those of you who have no idea who I am, last year was kind of a roller coaster for me, where I actually went through a huge transitional phase from like a job that I was in for 13 years, that I finally realized like I'm being abused mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, any way you want to look at it. It was so toxic, and it was just like I got to a point where I was like, I told Ashley and some of my closest friends, I think including you, was like, I can't stay here at this job anymore, or I'm going to do something that I will forever regret, whether it was self-harm or something else. Like I'll be completely honest with you. I was at that point because it was just so toxic. It was so bad. And then I put that out in the universe, where I was like, I have to get out of this thing, that I have to get out of here. And it was like 2 or 3 months later, I was able to quit the job and then find a new job. And now I'm happier than I've been, and I can't tell you how long. I mean, Chris, you know me better than a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like I used to be grumpy all the time, is what everybody considered me, and now it's like I'm smiling, I'm laughing, I'm having a good time. Like it's just it's awesome to put things in retrospect, where you look at like what you've done in your past and then realize you can make a better change for like who you want to be, or like further down the line. So I don't know, you got anything like that? Because I mean, that's just one tidbit from me.
Yeah, no, well, I think we both in the last couple of years, I know basically since like 2019, I got into like a pretty serious work accident, and that kind of changed my life, for some things for worse, some things for better. And it's made me come down like a really like introspective path of whether that's mental therapy or past relationship therapy. And then there's been all different types of like spiritual experiences I've tried to have, and a lot of like internal work and realizing certain things. Like I know that this is probably backwards behind me, but like I have like all these like, I don't know, corny but inspirational things that are like, there's always hope. This one is, so many people have inspired me to be nothing like them. Like I've tried to take a very introspective look at myself and trying to understand things a little bit better, and I think one of the things that's helped me out the most with that is probably becoming sober. Not really doing it because I thought I had a problem, but just there was a relationship with alcohol that I felt like I wanted to try to stop drinking so much because I felt like it wasn't. When we were younger, it was more fun. Like
Right.
it felt like you were doing it to have fun, and then as you kind of get older, you're realizing like, why am I still doing this?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like changed my life in like a good way that I could joke about things that used to happen and kind of be more thoughtful and have better intent moving forward when it comes to things. So that's why like I'm glad to like do this with you as well, is that even when we were in college, you being a Patriots fan and me being a Jet fan, you still were the most like level-headed, realistic like Patriots fan, as opposed to everybody else was just like, oh my God, New England's great. Tom Brady's this. We can't do anything wrong. Like, just, and anytime I would be like, do you really think that? And you're like, no, like we sucked in this draft. We need to do this better. You guys should have beat us here and blah, blah, blah. So it was like very, I guess from the get-go that I knew that you were pretty like level-headed and we could have conversations without trying to make the other person right or wrong. Like it wasn't to prove a point. It was just to talk. So I think it's just nice to kind of have hopefully like a medium to allow thoughtful conversation, whether it's dick and fart jokes or like really like deep, I guess like well thought out things that could be, I don't want to say controversial, but like up for debate without having to be like this white line or this line of like, this is right, this is wrong. So it's just going to be cool to just be able to talk about certain things with you and kind of spitball. And I guess hopefully have like a safe space to do it. As I'm going through this process, I'm becoming quote unquote crunchy. So like I'm trying to use better lingo and terms, even though it doesn't feel great, but at least that's where I'm at.
No, that makes sense. I totally get that, and I look at it too as like again, you hit the nail on the head with like the perspective of looking back and then like to now, and then and I appreciate the fact that you actually know me as a person, where I'm not a psycho Patriots fan. Who fun fact for you guys out there, I've done other podcasts, I've done other things before, where especially if you're watching this on YouTube, if we even put it up on YouTube, I got a bunch of Patriot stuff behind me. Brewski, me with Brewski, Gronk, my signed Brewski football. In case you don't know, I do like Brewski a little bit too much. But yeah, it's that's the thing, is like I've always tried to look at things from, like you said, from a realistic approach, where people would just so get so convoluted with just being like blindsided by like you said, like that Patriots thing is the perfect example of it, where it's like Tom Brady and Bill Belichick are just like, oh my God, they do nothing wrong. They're the greatest ever, and this is the greatest team ever, and blah, blah, blah. And I just sit there and I'm just like, no, they totally screwed that up, and they didn't like I sit there and like people are like Spygate, and I'm like, hell yeah, that was wrong. Like that was the dumbest thing that the Patriots franchise did to that point. And I will absolutely admit that it was cheating. But like, I'm not gonna like sit there and be like every other Patriots fan that's just like, oh yeah, well, bananas, they still won everything, blah 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 blah. Like, come on, dude, be realistic. I'm a football fan first and foremost. I'm a diehard Patriots fan second foremost. But like, that's also for me, like growing up the way that I did, I try and look at most of life objectively like that. And that's why, again, like you and I have great conversation all the time, because again, I can sit there and I can have my opinions on things. Like, you could sit there and tell me the sky is green all day, and I'll be like, no, you're a dumbass. It's blue. Like 100% is blue. I know it's blue because I'm sitting there and I'm seeing it's blue. But then like all of a sudden, like a plane goes by that's like a green plane. And I'm like, oh, well, I guess you can see why it's a little fucked up if it's green right there, because that is technically green in the sky. So again, I'm open to interpretation, but like, again, I like to look at it where like I can, again, you and I have amazing conversations because like we can disagree on something, but then if one of us proves or shows our side to the other one, we stop and we go, oh crap, maybe like I am wrong, or maybe like, he's not as idiotic as I thought he was, and a lot of like things. Because I remember, like, again, we go back so far to like different things. And for those of you out there, I'm New England. New Hampshire, born and raised. Mike is Long Island down there. You know, we have our differences with sports and everything else, but there are very few times where him and I come together and agree on like really big things. And one of the things that I have to throw out there for our intro episode is the time you and I beat Donkey Kong, and we had to call Dave. I'm sorry, if we can't say his name, I'm gonna say it anyway because we called Dave. We called him and we were just like, dude, because he bitching about how like he couldn't beat the game, and you and I just annihilated it in one day in college.
I don't know if it was one day, but it was like finals week, and he was like, "Man, this game is really hard. You guys are never gonna beat it." And I think I was in my bathrobe. We loaded the fridge up with beers, and we just crushed 30s until we beat that game. And we were loaded, and we called him up, and we just left in these voicemails like, "Oh yeah, Donkey Kong's so hard to beat. Oh, we're a little bit. So blah blah blah. Ooh, ooh, like." And to this day, he's still like, if I see him, he'll be like, "Oh, great, I won Donkey Kong, cool." Like,
that's the best part, though, is like we have some of those, like you said, even though we've evolved to the point now where you're sober, and for me personally, I don't consider myself like 100% sober. Like I can absolutely still like drink socially occasionally, whatever, but like I try my best to pretty much stay sober at this point. Like, we can still look back with fondness on some memories that we did have that absolutely included like I will say obscene amount of alcohol, because like looking back now, I drink like a beer or two like these days, and I'm just like, all right, time out, game over, I'm done. I'm going to be like hungover for the next 3 days, where back, like you said, in college, it was like drink a 30, and it's like by the next day at 8 o'clock, it's like, all right, let's go eat breakfast and then start crushing 30s again. And it's like, what the hell was I thinking?
yeah,
but
well, I don't know. It's what kids do, which apparently is not even a thing anymore. I read something. Fact check me all the time. Like I have so much random stuff going around here that I don't know what. Like I said, if it's a fever dream or if it's something that I actually read, but there was something that, like in the last 3 years, drinking has gone down like 30 or 40%, like, which is like more than it has in like, I'm trying to remember, like in whatever, a really long time, it only dropped a couple of percent. And apparently the last couple of years it's declined heavily. Yeah. And I'm like wondering like why that happened. And I don't know if it's just that alcohol is expensive, that people, there's like when we were in college, phones still weren't really, they were phones. Mm-hmm. You could take a video, but like posting it online, it would only be able to be like 15 seconds. And it was like, look like you took it with a potato. Like it was so grainy. So even if you were in it, like, but like, yeah, the fact that everything's recorded, everything's put onto social media. Like I think Facebook was just barely around when we were in college. Like, so it seems like times have kind of changed with that too. Cause I want to say, oh, well, we were just young. So like getting shit house was normal, but I don't even know if that's the case anymore.
No, you're not wrong. And I mean, you hit like something huge too when you were just talking about that. It was like at the time that you and I were in college, like even like leaving high school into college, we hit that perfect like area where we went from like no communication, like cell phones were still like kind of like developing at that point. Like for, you know, for those of you who love antiques, like I had a flip phone. Like that's what my phone was in college for like 2 or 3 years, I think, at that point. The first iPhone didn't come out until we were seniors. Cause I remember Tom, our buddy, you know what's hilarious too is like we talked about before the episode that we weren't going to name drop people.
Well, I think it's if it's embarrassing to them, like Dave's last name, you should probably, if you could blurt that out.
Yeah, I could probably do that.
But yeah, if it's an embarrassing story with them, but I think we're just mentioning them as part of something that we did.
That makes sense. But either way, Tom, going back to what I was saying, is Tom is like he had the original iPhone, I think, like the last half of senior year, and I remember being like, isn't that what you listen to music on? Why you have like a phone that like plays music? And it's just like that but that's where we were at that point. And it was so, like you said, you could take photos and videos, but it was nothing to the extent of what like you can do today, where I feel like we almost live in that world of like, what is it, Big Brother, where you can't do anything with like if you see somebody getting into a fight, the first thing that people do is pull out their phones and like, oh, we got to record this. It's not like, hey, maybe we should like break up the fight, or hey, we should go get like the cops to be like, hey, we need to stop this, or like, hey, let's try and figure out like a peaceful solution. Nope, whip that phone out. Whoa, world star! Oh my God, they got to see that. like that's where we're at. And I thank God, like every day looking back with like you and me and like our generation of where we were at in college and school was like, thank God we didn't have that, because I would be in jail probably from
Yeah.
like some of the dumb ass stuff I did. I would have been kicked out of school 1,000 times over. It's like just like 1,000 things that we did. And again, I'm not trying to say I'm like a saint or anything, but like I'm also not like I wasn't doing anything ultra illegal except drinking underage is like what I will openly admit to, because I mean, who didn't do that in college? But it was just like the dumb shit that we did, and we weren't facing the repercussions as bad as I think people do these days based off of the technology that we have. That's just, I don't know. I couldn't imagine trying to be in college today. Could you?
No, no. I mean, at least with trying to like, I think I would be like really afraid to do stuff, especially if you like know somebody that like had a video of them drunk at a party or doing something stupid and it like went viral and then they became famous for like the wrong reasons and stuff. Like it's just, yeah, I don't know. And it seems like, at least for an out of touch, almost 40-year-old white guy, that it seems like people want to capture these things for their own like clout.
Yeah.
So like if you did something stupid, I want to videotape you and show it to other people. So that way people will be like, oh man, like I get positive recognition for outing you by getting likes and comments and attention. And like, so it's like almost like seems like it's like a negative kind of like feedback loop that like instead of protecting you, it'd be more beneficial for me to get more attention and more likes and more public attention if I basically like publicly humiliate people that like I'm friends with because they do dumb things.
Which kind of brings me to like the thing that I do want to like touch on before I think we wrap up our our convoluted and extra long introductory episode, which you know got off the rails in the best way possible, the way that I'm looking at it. But like when we talk about negativity in today's like medium, with whether it's social media or even like YouTube or like technically what we're doing right now, just having this general conversation podcast that we were starting. Do you notice, like I do, that everything is hyper focused on negativity these days, as opposed to like granted, I look at, for me, it was always trying to like look at things on the brighter side, whether it was, you know, whether it's sports, right? Like I looked at the, like, obviously I had, my teams had like a 20-year run of like absolutely ridiculous success with Boston sports and everything like that. But even in the years that they didn't win or things didn't go perfectly, it's like, I had to stop and remind myself that, like, if I was a fan of another team that's never even sniffed the playoffs, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to attack you here because I know the Jets have a little, but like, yeah, right. But like I read something this year, like honestly, just speaking like off the cuff real quickly, is like the Patriots obviously got demolished in the Super Bowl by the Seahawks. Like there was no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I will never deny that, in the fact that they got their asses kicked. I read a comment from a Bears fan, and not the one that we know, but another one that literally wrote that they would give up like their left testicle to see the like Bears get like have what happened to the Patriots in the Super Bowl, because it would just be like, you sniffed it. You know what I mean? It was like they're so desperate for that kind of thing, where it's like, even though it sucked at the end, you enjoyed the journey, the positivity getting there, and the fact that you have like that hope is alive again, where you don't see that in mediums of stuff today, where, like I said, it's like I open up YouTube and it's just like, oh, the 17 reasons why the latest Resident Evil game sucks. And I just played the game and I loved it. I had a great time. I was like, that was one of the best video games I've played in like a long time. But the first thing that pops up on my newsfeed is like, well, this is why it sucks, and this is why you shouldn't buy it. It's like, dude, why? Right?
Well, I think that's why I tried to bring this up with you before we started, about if we were going to have like live comments and stuff. And I think the first thing you said, well, if you turn off comments, we get less exposure. And I think that's basically what it is that negativity seems to be the most prominent thing, because people want to fight about it. So they just kind of like even like, oh, you have 800 comments and you look and 200 of them are one guy and another person fighting with each other.
Yeah.
Like, it just seems like there's a lot of negativity out there because it gets people's attention. I don't know whether it's anger or rage causes people
rage
to
bait, right? Isn't that the term?
Yeah, well, at first it was clickbait, now it's rage bait because
Right.
rage, it's like as long as you're getting attention, it's not negative. So like, okay, I'm pissing people off, but people are still watching me because like I feel like almost more people watch things to hate them rather than they even like them. Like something about that anger and that rage is like addictive, which is counterproductive, but it does seem to be like, yeah, like people do love that stuff. So but I catch myself with that all the time too. And you have to, that's something with age. And I guess with less drinking and more thinking comes like, oh, why am I doing this? Why does this happen? I was watching Dungeons and Dragons the other day. Like that's what I do now. I went from a loud chest, like burly powerlifting athlete to like, oh no, I like Dungeons and Dragons. But there's this guy, what's his name? I'm going to butcher his name. I think it's Brennan Lee Mulligan. And he seems like the nicest guy as a dungeon master, and he's cool as shit. And like every interview I watched with him, he's like amazing. And I could feel like a little part of me be like, I hope he's a piece of shit. And I have to catch and I have to catch myself. I'm like, why? I'm like, why do I need this guy to be a piece of shit to make myself feel better? And
Was
I'm
he
like,
was real quick, was he the one that we watched you made me watch where he did like the school one?
yeah, with the corn monster and whatnot.
Yeah.
And but I'm like, I think that I'm trying not to get too heavy into this. I could probably do a whole episode on social media and how I think that affects people, but it's that perceived happiness as opposed to real happiness.
Right.
So I think people, when they see somebody being happy and they're happier than them or doing something better than them, they jump on it and want them to be a bad person too, to be like, hey, look, see, like he's shitty too, like just like me, like we're the same, like he's not better than me. But was it that crab at the bottom of a bucket metaphor? You ever heard that one? Where like if there's a bucket of crabs and a crab is trying to crawl out, the other crabs will kill that crab. They'll like rip it apart for trying to get out of the bucket. So I think there's something in whether it's jealousy or rage that is addictive, and we're seeing it thousands of times a day.
I mean, well, that's the biggest thing is, I mean, like full disclosure, I'm sure we'll have like a whole like you said, social media episode that we'll have to talk about stuff. But like full disclosure for me is like, I recently, I think a couple months ago actually now, is like I deleted all social media off my phone just because it was like, I caught myself sitting there for like sometimes hours a day watching like crap that I didn't need to, or reading stuff from like people that like I either A, don't know, or B, I don't give two shits about their opinion. So it's like, why am I sitting here reading this and finding myself, like you said, getting mad at it, where it's just like, I don't know this person. I don't care. And it was such a breath of fresh air for me to really just put it out there, be like, hey, all done with social media. Like I have my account still, like I can still access Facebook and Instagram. And I did have TikTok for, like I said, my other endeavors for a little while there, but like getting rid of it was like the best thing for like one of my mental health things, because it was just like, I'm not forcing myself to waste time, but on top of that too, I'm not enraging myself by reading like, you know, Timmy Toucan's bullshit like story about how he's mad about politics and blah, 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 and how I disagree with him. And it's just like, I go back to like, not everybody needs to have an opinion about everything all the time. And again, that's where I think all the negativity comes from too, is because it's just, we've given open microphones to 99% of the population that just needs to shut the fuck up. I know that was a little brash to say, but like at the end of the day, like for me and you, like I hope people listen to this podcast and realize like, I don't know shit about shit sometimes.
Oh,
like,
yeah, 100%.
Don't sit here and be like, oh my God, this Hogan guy knows everything he's talking about. Like, I absolutely don't. No offense, Mike doesn't know stuff about stuff sometimes too, but like, we can sit here and pretend, but like, don't take it for like what it is. Like, go out and do your own research, formulate your own opinions. And like, I would never hold that against somebody unless, you know, they're like trying to like harm somebody else or do something that's like ridiculously illegal or terrible or harmful. But like, I just, the negativity is going to come to a head at some point. And like you said, buddy, if we can get to a point where we can even reach one or two people out there with this podcast and just be like, hey, like maybe somebody who listens to this is like drinking a gallon of beer a day, which I don't know how the hell you could do that, but like if we could get them to stop and realize there's more to life than like pounding brewskis, and not that brewski, but like real brewskis, but like if we can get them to stop and realize, hey, like there's so much more going on than just negativity and drowning your sorrows. Like there's cool shit in life too. That's the biggest thing, is like I turn around, like I said, I talk about changing my job. I'm happy going to work now, which you asked me like 10 years ago, hey, are you happy? I would have been like, fuck no, I hate my job, I hate my life, this is awful, it's terrible. But like things can change, and that's the beautiful part about it. I don't know if you got any final words of wisdom before we conclude this first episode, but I'm excited about this, man. I think we're on the right path of what we want to talk about and do.
Yeah, no, it definitely feels like this is a good stepping stone. And yeah, I just want to reiterate that, like, I don't know shit. Like, I don't pretend to know shit. I have done so much work, like thousands and thousands of hours of work on myself. And it's like, the more that I'm doing, the more I'm realizing that I don't know things, which I think is part of the best part, is realizing that you don't really know shit. And if anybody wants to listen to this and take things, like, take this as a jumping off point. Don't take anything that we're saying as gospel. Like, if there's a thought or a theme or an idea that kind of like, hey, like, that seems interesting, like, think about it, journal on it, do whatever you need to do to formulate your own opinion. And maybe we influence it 10%, 5%, 90%, but like, just like think for yourself when it comes to things. So like that would be my final note, unless you want to end on a funnier thing, because I feel like it was a little heavy.
Yeah. What do you got? You got something off the cusp? Or
yeah, that question that I asked that you laughed about before we came on.
Oh, hit me with it. Let's go.
All right. So how do you know a fart smells before it comes out of your ass?
So for me personally, and this might be TMI a little bit, but like, I think for me, it's like when the stomach gurgles, you know what I mean? Like when the intestines are like, kind of like telling you, like, if you got like that low grumbling where you're like, sometimes you don't know if it's like, okay, is this actually a fart? Like, that's where it can get kind of dangerous, you know? And I like, God bless my wife. She will know to a T that like there are times where I'm just like, uh-oh, and she's like, what? And I'm like, I don't know which one this is, and I got to get to a bathroom pronto. And I feel like that's when I know, like, especially if you get that like gut feeling, literal gut feeling.
But I'm talking about, there's differences. There's those times when you're like that, and it's like, oh, I just ate something, and I know this is going to be bad. But then there's other times where you might just have a little bit of pressure in your colon.
Yeah.
Like, how do you know, like, oh no, this one's going to be bad? Like, because you don't have any sense. There's no sense of smell. Nothing's come out yet. But sometimes, like, or it'll come out, and before you smell it, you get that like instinct of like, oh no, like this is going to be a bad one. Like, I just don't know how that's possible. So I would like to know how that's possible, but no idea.
Unless your body just like starts telepathically telling you like, hey, you got a stinky fart coming, like you might just be in big trouble. That's the way I look at it. But food for thought for any listeners out there who want to think about that one going into our next episode. How do you know if your fart is smelly or not before it comes out? Personally, like I said, I hope for the best, and sometimes it doesn't work out as well as I planned, and the people around me pay dearly for that. And I apologize for those of you out there who have had the unfortunate circumstance of being around me when that happens. But yeah, this was fun, buddy. I'm excited to travel down this path with you, and I hope for our listeners out there, if you made it this far with us, you enjoyed it. We are still we're figuring things out. I mean, this is literally just episode 1 where we were riffing and having fun with this. We're going to probably figure out the whole YouTube and social media stuff, which is ironic because we talked about how terrible social media is. But like we'll figure out some things and throw out some spots that you can find more information on Mike and I at this point. But yeah, I think that's going to be a wrap on episode 1 there, buddy.
Yeah, what do you think? Good.
Sounds good. We went from drinking to thinking, buds. And again, I'm Hogan. That's Mike. And hope you guys listen again soon. We'll talk soon.
Deuces.